So firstly, congratulations on the Bears stuff. I think it's amazing. Obviously, from a personal point of view, someone who grew up uh, locally in Taunton, I think it's amazing that we've got a club such as Bristol that's kind of finally taken ownership over the area. Obviously, when I was growing up, it was kind of a bit of a fighting ground between Chiefs and Bath back in the day. So it's great that it's been divvied up and it's a Bristol area, and they're really kind of investing um, in the youth in the youth game and obviously the women's game in Taunton and at the college. So that's amazing. Exciting times if you're a young guy in the area playing rugby. Obviously, before the option was you move down to Devon, or obviously you look to go elsewhere. Whereas now it's right on your doorstep. I know that if I was 16, 17 again, it would have been amazing to be able to go and be part of a kind of academy ace setup without having to leave home. So that's great news. That's exciting. Like I said, I think more and more lads will see that as kind of a pathway for them, the local clubs, local schools. Touching a bit on my experience with Chiefs and Sarries, I loved every second of my time playing, and was fortunate enough to play at two very good clubs. Obviously, Chiefs have completely come into their own, coinciding with when I left. I'm sure that's just a coincidence. But very different as well. Like I said, I loved it, but it certainly is a challenging and daunting thing going from playing, Ace League school level rugby into a full-time environment. I think at the time, Exeter still had very much kind of their old school squad of players that had brought them up from the Championship, and it was probably run very different to how it is now in terms of I won't say professionalism, but I just think in terms of the way that players got looked after. So as much as I loved it, it was very, very challenging, and I think looking back, I could have done a lot of things better. I think potentially the club could have looked after me and managed me a bit better. And I would say that's something that Sarries really got right for the last 8-9 years or so. I think the way they look after their players is probably been their point of difference. So I guess just leading on to the final point in terms of tips about some of your talented guys who are looking to maybe go professional and get that contract. I just think the environment in the game now is more professional than it's ever been. I just think those small bits of attention to detail, you'll get so many kind of areas of support and avenues of support, especially from a club like Bristol. And I just think for you to make it and for you to stand out to your peers, you just have to kind of use everyone for as much as possible. So you look at the physios, the S&C staff, the material and resources they're going to send out. You may think that it's just a lot and a lot of it's unnecessary, but coaches and clubs do look at that now, and they will be able to tell if you're one of the young guys who's been doing their extra injury prevention, if they've been rehabbing properly, if they've been eating properly and following their gym program. So those small all those tiny little bits off the field are probably what makes the difference between the top international guys and just your regular players. Are their effort and attention to detail when no one else is watching and they're not on the training pitch. And I think secondly, something that I probably got wrong was I got lost in that full-time professional rugby environment, and you're young and it all happens pretty quick and you think you're living the dream, but I think it's important to still have other things going on in your life. I know it consumed me a bit, and then obviously finishing at 24 because of injury, it kind of felt like my whole life was over. That's all I knew. So I think that when you decide that it's time for rugby, whether that's training, whether that's the stuff off the field, like I mentioned, you commit 100% to that. But I think having something to step away, whether it's studying, which I definitely recommend, whether it's just looking at other avenues, things you're interested in reading, you know, a trade, something like that. If you can have another interest away from it, I think it keeps you hungry and it keeps you kind of motivated when you do come back to it. I think that'd be my main tips.